I'm in New York City. I've got a couple of meetings that I need to attend, and then I'm going to head upstate to see some friends, and then I'll wind up back down here in the city, probably in a very similarly sized hotel room. I do feel like I'm living in a shoebox at the moment, but that's okay because I don't spend a lot of time here normally. I finished all the books I brought on this trip while on the flight. I know. Didn't plan on that, but I did. So I need a book. I need a book for this trip. I also have a list of books that I've been looking for on my phone. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a book hunt while I'm here in New York City to see how many books I can find used. Well, I mean, it's not going to be how many books. We're going to have to put some boundaries on this because my carry-on is only so big. So here's what we're going to do. Here are rules. I am going to go to as many used bookstores as makes sense. I've picked out 10 different books that I'm going to be looking for. 9 different books in a series, I think, is what I decided on. I think that's what I decided on. That's how this is going to go. They have to be used. Do I have any other rules for this? They have to be used. I am allowing myself 2 wild cards. One, because you know how bookstores are, people chat. They talk about which books they like. And if someone sells me on a book, I'm not necessarily going to buy it, but I want the option to buy it. So I'm giving myself 1 wild card purchase because I'm hoping, kind of, but not. I'm working against myself here. I want to manifest all 10 books, but I don't know that I have room in my luggage. So this could be a saga. This could involve some postage. That's wild card number 1. Wild card number 2 is I'm going to allow myself 1 new book purchase. It could be one of the books from the list. It could be something else that's a total surprise. That's how that's going to work. Let's talk about which books we're actually getting into. I'm going to start with a series. I have loved the Ruth Galloway mysteries forever. I think I'm on book 6. I finished book 6. I have a separate note, but I just have Ruth Galloway on my list. So I'm going to be on the lookout for Ruth Galloway books because I just love reading the physical copy of them. So it just makes me very, very happy. So the first solo book that I want to find is I Will Have Vengeance, a book that I read a while ago. It was in the Italy tag video. During that video, I realized that it's a series. And so I want to go back and reread because I want to read them all, I think. I remember enjoying it. So I want to find another copy of it. I would also love to find a copy of Lonesome Dove. Lonesome Dove has a certain presence on BookTube, and I'm particularly thinking about Kevin. Kevin, you've made me want to read this book. Along with my friend Clara. The Kevin-Clara connection, oof. When both of them love a book, I feel like I need to seek it out. I have been looking for that one in used bookstores for a couple of months now, and I haven't found it yet. So that could be the wild card. That's a possibility. We'll see how it goes. Book number 3 is Leonard and Hungry Paul. This is a book that I've seen. I think Pat is the one who particularly introduced me to this book.
Hi, my name is Pat. And this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat.
But then other people were talking about it across other videos, and I had not read it yet. So I do want to see if I can find a copy of it because it sounds like something I would really, really enjoy. I also want to find Paul Fusel's The Great War in Modern Memory. There was an article in the New York Times a couple of months ago by someone in their book criticism department, talking about how this was the most amazing informational text they'd ever read. I've found wartime, but I've never found the Great War in modern memory. So I'm hoping you can find something there. I also love a good surrealist workplace novel. If you've read Temporary by Hilary Lecter, ooh, I really enjoyed that book. It was absurd and satirical. Kevin Kalsuki's Several People Are Typing has been on my list for a while. My library doesn't have a copy. I would like to read it, and so I'm going to have to take it upon myself to find it. So that's another one. Additionally, Love Junkie by Robert Plunkett is in the oeuvre of particularly gay literature that I am working my way back through and have been. So his work just got re-released. I don't know that I'm going to be able to find it used. So that's another one that may play into that wild card slot. We're gonna see here how that goes. Additionally, Go, Went, Gone by Erpenbeck. I actually don't know where this recommendation came from, because normally I have a little note about why I'm looking for it, and this one I was just like, ooh, want to read, but I don't know why. So we're going to see. We're going to see if we can find it, and then if we can find it, we'll try to figure out why I put it into the notes in the first place. And then I have two additional books that I've wanted to read for a while, but recently The Atlantic came out with their summer reads, and they were both on there, and that just moved them higher up in the queue. The first is Cassandra at the Wedding by Dorothy Baker. It's a reissue, so we'll see how that goes. And then Dolly by Anita Brookner. Both of those are older books. We're going to see if we can find them. But again, the rules are I can only buy them if they're used. Though I do have two potential wildcard slots. So we're going to see how this goes. It is like 4:30ish in the afternoon. 4:30, a little closer to 5. So I'm going to go get some walking in. I've been on a plane most of the day, and maybe get to a bookstore or two, and then we'll hit it back up in earnest tomorrow. So let's see how I do. Maybe. Ooh, this is going to be vlogging in public again. Ugh, why? Our first stop, Sweet Pickle Books, because if there's anything in the summer that I like more than a book, it is a fermented cucumber. This bookstore was pure vibes and had a really great collection of used books and just a delightful sense of place. No, I did not try the pickles. Do I regret it? Completely. But I have to go back now, don't I? Leaving a bookstore empty-handed is a disconcerting experience, so I headed to the Mecca, the Strand bookstore. This was the first place that I went the very first time I came to New York, and it is just one of my favorite spaces. I love this bookstore. Why, oh why, did it have to be on the very top shelf? I did not film this experience, but I was successful in locating the book. Found a new copy of Love Junkie, but is that what I want to spend my wild card on? success at the Strand, but also I don't have a tote bag. Next day, so fresh, so clean, up so early, and on my way to my next stop. I've had luck at this book off in the past, so fingers crossed we find good things. The first floor of the store is a lot of video games. There's also clearance books on this level, but I'm headed upstairs because upstairs is where the good stuff is. No luck, but if you haven't read Age of Vice, highly recommended. Also, used books and Funkos. Kevin, this may be where you belong. I really wanted to hit up some bookstores in Brooklyn, so we hopped on the subway and began our day's journey. Look at me, pretending to be a Brooklyn hipster. So not true. The first bookstore I wanted to hit up in Brooklyn was this one right here, a cute, quaint shop called Terrace Books. I had read that it sold some used books, but that turned out not to be true. So we struck out, but I got a cool bookmark. That's a win, right? Off to our next destination, which was Community Bookstore. Connected to Terrace Bookstore in a way that I'm not quite sure how yet, but it's all good. This also was a new bookstore. I thought it had used, but it didn't. However, because I didn't have a tote bag, I bought a tote bag. And this is the face of a man who knows he has 5 bookstore tote bags at home, but it's fine. It's fine. The Brooklyn adventure continued with yet another new, to me, bookstore. And this time I ended up at Unnamable Books. There was so much diversity in this bookstore, and it was so well organized. By far, one of my favorite used bookstore experiences across this entire trip. I got you can come. I have $1. Yeah, there's 5 inflatable rafts, and that's how you're that's. Definitely a huge fan of this bookstore. We got 2 titles that I wasn't sure I was going to get. I also noticed that I love bookstores with this ephemera. Also, Mohonk. I ended up going. It's like foreshadowing. At this point, I'd visited 4 bookstores, taking a relatively long subway ride, and walked a couple of miles. It was time for a late lunch, and when in Brooklyn, that means I needed to go to Junior's. I have loved Junior since the first time I came to the city, and it was a great spot to read some Leonard and Hungry Paul, which was just a delightful book. Delightful book. What a great way to spend a lunch, but also the cheesecake. Oh my gosh, how I love their cheesecake. Despite all the calorie exertion, I was not able to finish it. Belly full, I made my way back to my hotel and spent a little bit of time there before I went to Hudson Yards to see The Vessel. Did not go up. I will do that next time. However, I really enjoyed all the people watching baseball, so I copped a squat and read a little bit more before I headed back to the apartment to start all over again the next day. The next day found me getting up early, hopping on a bus, and heading upstate to see my friends Wendy and Alan. I'm always so impressed every time I make this trip upstate how I leave the city and within a half hour or so, I am suddenly in these beautiful green spaces. We didn't do much bookstore shopping while I was upstate, but we did stop in at Oblong Books in Rhinebeck, which was a fruitful excursion.
I'm going to take it out of the library. I'm not buying any more books.
I finished Leonard and Hungry Paul on the bus back into the city and had just another handful of days to see what other books I could hunt down. After dropping stuff off at my hotel, I headed out to the Housing Works used bookstore and thrift, where they had a really nice selection, just nothing that I needed on my list, which was so hard because there were so many titles that I wanted to buy, but that's not the challenge. That's not the challenge. At this point, I was getting pretty tired and was ready to let the hunt go, except on my way back to my hotel, I came across Mercer Street Books and felt like I had to go in. This bookstore was one of those hide-and-seek bookstores. It had a loose organization, but was super fun to wander through. I started my last full day in Central Park. I had run a couple of miles in the park earlier and returned to do just a little bit of reading. I didn't think I was going to get to any bookstores today. I had some other things that I wanted to do in the city, but I can never resist spending some time drinking coffee and reading a book in this beautiful urban oasis. So peaceful, so quiet. It got me ready to go to one of my least favorite parts of the city, Times Square. I had tickets for a show and spent a little bit of time wandering through because why not? Also, how much did this billboard for Patricia Cornwell actually cost? Also, can we talk about Death Becomes Her? This is one of my favorite movies from my childhood, which sounds really weird, but loved it. And of course, I had to bring my book. Got some reading done before the show started and during the intermission. But great show. Highly recommended if you are in New York and get a chance to see it. So the goal wasn't to go to any bookstores this day, but I was right around the corner from McNally Jackson. So I had to go, right? I had to. While this is a new bookstore, I knew I wasn't going to find any of the used books that I was hunting for, but it's always a great space. It's so highly curated. It's a good space to get ideas for new titles and things you want to read next. Oh my gosh. So I had been filming on my MacBook the entire time, and I also just showered, so I've got water spots all over. And not bad in a pinch. Also, holy cow, I'm looking like a lumberjack. But it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I head home tomorrow. I wanted to talk through how successful my New York City book hunt was. And it was surprisingly successful, like successful in ways that I was not expecting. Let's go through it, shall we? Okay, so remember at the beginning of this video, I wanted 9 titles, 1 series I was looking for as I ventured out into the city of New York. And it was a lot of walking. I was very glandular, but it was delightful. It was one of my favorite things to do when I travel is just walk a city. I love walking a city. And that's what I did. And as I was walking, I just stopped at bookstores. It was beautiful. It was absolutely gorgeous. I'm glad I did not get all of the books I was looking for. But I did get quite a few. Not to the point where I needed to buy more luggage, but I did borrow or was given a checked bag because I found a picture that I bought Upstate, and it of course doesn't fit in any of my carry-on bags, so I have to check one. Whatever, we're over it. I needed to buy them used, but I had wild cards. I could use wild cards if I wanted to. So let's find out how we did. So you've already seen all of these. At the Strand, I did find D. Giovanni's I Will Have Vengeance. Currently rereading this. Forgot how much I enjoyed it. So taking this on the plane with me tomorrow. I also found Leonard and Hungry Paul. I'm already done with this. This I'm excited to talk about because I adored it and am going to send this to Clara when I get home. Because it was just lovely. Totally lovely. In fact, I kind of feel like this video turned into a reading vlog across New York City. I also found The Locked Room, Ellie Griffiths. This one is a UK version, which makes me happy. It's more towards the end of the series, so I'm not quite there yet, but since they had it, I picked it up. And then I also found a hardcover version of The Last Remains, which is this the final one? It might be. I normally don't love the hardcover, but it's what happened. So Strand was good. Strand resulted in 4 books on my list. 2 from Ellie Griffiths in that series. I didn't find any others. Found a lot of Crossing Places. The next place I found books was a used bookstore that I hadn't been to before, and it was Unnamable Books in Brooklyn. I found Go Went Gone, which I was really excited about because this was the one that I couldn't quite remember why I had picked it. And I found it for $6. And then probably the biggest used surprise was finding Love Junkie. This book just got re-released. Also, what a deliciously scandalous cover. It's an uncorrected proof, but I think I'm okay with that. This is one of the ones that I thought I definitely would not find. I found it new at the Strand and then considered using my wild card for a new book. The other big surprise here was finding The Great War in Modern Memory by Paul Fussell at Oblong Books up in Rhinebeck, New York. This is my new book wild card because I don't think I'm ever going to find this used. I keep finding Wartime by Fussell, but I never find The Great War actually like in the bookstore where I can just pick it off a shelf until I did. So that's really been exciting. Here's the stack. Overall, we're going home with seven books, but there's some bonuses. There was a separate list that I didn't want to make part of this video originally because I didn't know what I would find. Academic books are a little kooky to find. I had a couple of academic books that I was looking for, and when I stopped in at Jackson McNally this afternoon, I found Harmut Rosa's The Uncontrollability of the World, and I've wanted this book for a while now. It's a skinny little book, and again, I don't know when the next time I'll find this on a shelf, used or new, so I picked it up. It's a workbook, but it might show up here in some way, shape, or form. We'll see. So this isn't necessarily cheating for the purpose of this hunt challenge in New York City used bookstores or just New York State bookstores, because it wasn't part of the list. It's one of those books that I've wanted and been looking for a while, and so when I saw it, I picked it up. So overall, highly successful. I think that Unnamable is probably the bookstore that delivered the most. I really loved the Pickles bookstore, but they didn't have anything for me to buy. That was on my list. They had lots of stuff to buy, but including Pickles, but no books that I had limited myself to on this list. I found almost all of these books new, but used was a slightly different situation. Lonesome Dove, by the way, does not seem to be available used anywhere. And I almost the first night I was here, almost picked it up at the Strand, but was like, let's save that wild card and see what happens, because I can find Lonesome Dove anywhere. I'm still kind of holding out hope that I'm going to find it used somewhere. I don't need it right away, but the only one that I actually didn't see, now that I think about it, I never saw Several People Are Typing. I also never saw Dolly. I really loved all these bookstores. Really loved them. It was super fun to be able to walk to so many different independent bookstores. I think if I were to say my favorite, there's always the Strand. The Strand is always going to be up there. That was my first introduction to literary New York, was the Strand. My friend Candace will remember our first trip to New York and me being in the Strand and just like, it was the most delightful thing in the world. So the Strand will always have a really special place in my heart. I also love the curation of Jackson McNally. which has been in the city 20 years now. I remember reading in the New Yorker when they opened. Oof, I feel old. Most of these bookstores were new to me. There were so many other books there that if they would have been on my list, I could have bought them. But they weren't, so I didn't. And it was a really hard activity not to do that. There were some bookstores that just didn't work out. And I think that's part of the hunt is, I picked up a lot of books that I really wanted to buy. I almost came home with several Laurie Colwin books and then put them down because they weren't on my hunt list. They are now. The hunt will begin again, but I have to get through these books first. This was a good time. It was fun to go explore New York and New York's bookstores and upstate New York's bookstores. Let's hope that I can fit them all in my bag. I'm pretty sure I can. So I'm going to go to bed and finish packing in the morning. Thanks for coming along. I appreciate you as always. And I hope life is good. I hope not to see you in this bunk bed. I wouldn't say ever again, because this is kind of my hotel that I like to stay at when I'm in New York. But I just don't want the bunk bed.